Welcome friends, today we're doing first impressions and then we'll probably dive into full reviews later on in the month, but this is from Atelier des Ors. They gave me some samples of the Riviera Collection. This is 3 bottles in the collection representing different stages of basically the sea, under the Mediterranean, beautiful blue sea, and sailing on a boat like a small yacht. And it's about the ocean and the sea and the warm sun and this beautiful kind of luxury, kind of exotic boats and sailing and all that kind of beautiful stuff of the Riviera. So yeah, we're going to dive into it. Like I say, there's 3 in this collection. The bottles have the little gold flakes in. I have one of the regular collection bottles. I was given Lune Feline to review, which I did a little while back. So this is what the bottle looks like, except the Riviera Collection is tinted blue. So when you see the star at the back of it, or the sun, it looks really cool when the light's on it, because the blue light, when the light comes through it, the blue kind of scatters this pattern and it looks like shimmering water on the table. It's quite spectacular actually. It's something that I kind of stared at on the display in Milan. But yeah, beautiful. So we'll delve into it. So the first one we'll try is Riviera Lazuli, and I will spray this on my left hand. So when you first smell this one, you get fresh, clean citruses, and it will remind you of the style of, I would say, Atelier Cologne. They have beautiful, fresh citrus scents. They're well known for those, like things like Pomelo Paradis or Orange Sanguine, those kind of fragrances. This is going to remind you of the same vein as that style of perfumery. These fresh, citrusy cologne, simple, minimalist, fresh, invigorating fragrances for the summer. Completely unisex. So what I get is kind of a slightly sweet bergamot and kind of a soft, light, musky, pale woodiness. And there's almost like an actual, I don't know if cologne is used in here, but it does have something like that, where you get kind of a watery effect, an aquatic fluidity to the fragrance. So you get this kind of juicy, bright citrus with this kind of musky woodiness and an aquatic-y water kind of nature to it. Completely unisex, very simple composition. Citrus, kind of a pale, soft, musky woodiness and a fluidity, like I say, kind of an aquatic, kind of watery nature to the scent. Very nice. Yeah, we'll look up the notes because I'm smelling this one blind. Okay, so we've just looked up the notes, and it is bergamot, lemon, cypress, balsam fir, and immortelle. Interesting. Those kind of green aspects don't come at me strong. Immortelle is more of a base note, so it might become a little bit sweeter in the dry down in that case. But for me, all about the citruses in the opening with this kind of what I would describe as a musky woodiness and an aquatic kind of watery nature. So not quite the balsam fir or the immortelle for me, but those maybe come out in the dry down. If you want me to do a full review of any of these, please do let me know, but I will get round to them in my own time after testing them fully on my skin. So there will be future full reviews on these, but this is a first impression. We'll smell the other 2 blind and then we'll look up the notes for those after too. So the next one is Pomelo Riviera. And this one was my favourite at the time when I smelled it. We'll see if it's still my favourite. So I'll spray this on the right hand. This one is really nice. You do get a lovely kind of pomelo and citrusy kind of note. It's not too fruity in the sense that Pomelo Paradis is quite kind of juicy almost. This one is a little bit more tart and fresh, not quite the same juiciness. So this is kind of a tart, bright, fresh pomelo, which is kind of like a grapefruit note basically. So a tart kind of piercing, bright, sharp grapefruit is the kind of the main focus of the fragrance. There isn't a huge amount of detail going on, but it's very pleasant and very nice, and I love wearing Pomelo Paradis, so this one, you know, is kind of a similar vein, just a little bit more tart and invigorating, kind of fresher. Pomelo Paradis being a little bit more kind of sweeter and rounder and softer, and a bit more juicy. My feeling for all these three is they're quite minimalistic in their composition, so they're not hugely complicated. They're very fresh, very easy to wear, very summery, completely gender neutral, completely unisex, and very kind of mass appealing, friendly, simple, easy to understand, easy to appreciate, easy to like fragrances. I will head over and look up the notes, and I'll tell you what's in the base. So looking for the notes for this one, obviously the main note is grapefruit or pomelo with orange blossom, jasmine, sea salt and cedarwood. It's been on my hands now a few more minutes, and you do definitely get a little bit of those florals. You do pick out quite a clean jasmine, maybe a sambac jasmine, soft, smooth, sweet kind of white petal. You do get a little bit of the orange blossom, but they're delicately black balanced. The grapefruit to me is the strongest, or at least in the opening. Obviously grapefruit being more of a top note will fade down, and I imagine it will come into more of the hearts of those florals. Orange blossom obviously retaining some of that citric-like freshness. So yeah, nice combination of kind of cleaner white floral with a kind of a tart, bright grapefruit. You do get a little bit of a saltiness, and people, someone commented on my last video saying, well, salt doesn't have a smell, what do you mean? And what we usually mean is kind of sea salt, as in like when you smell rock pools, that kind of mineral, kind of salty water, salt ocean, salt mist when you swim in the sea and your skin is kind of salty. In that regard, salt does have a smell, and this has kind of that slight sea mist kind of vibe going on. I do still really like that one. They are, my only criticism I suppose would be that they're quite expensive for minimalistic, simple compositions of basically citruses with very little else. Minimally composed, presented beautifully, and they smell great, but you're paying kind of higher end, numbers for the niche kind of presentation and the niche brand, I suppose. But I can't knock the smell, they smell good. It just depends whether you want to spend that much on a simple kind of citrus uplifting fragrance. So that's up to the consumer at the end of the day. We'll go on to the last one, which is called Riviera Drive. So I'll spray this one on my side of my arm. This one goes in a slightly more different direction. I get a lot more woods in this one, and from memory this is meant to be the impression of sailing on a beautiful yacht down the Riviera with beautiful blue water, and you're on this luxury expensive like multi-million-dollar yacht or whatever. It's kind of that luxury kind of image, and you do smell kind of the wooding deck of this beautiful kind of glistening ship or yacht, and it's kind of sparkly wood. You get that kind of weirdly, you get that kind of image actually when you smell it. This one has some kind of green notes, like you can imagine almost like seaweed or pine trees or something. There's some kind that kind of green element. There's this, like I say, like a polished, smooth woodiness to the fragrance. This is probably my least favourite from the three personally. Oh, funnily, actually, I think my favourite now is Lazuli. I think I actually prefer that to Pomelo Riviera, which was my favourite originally, and I still like it. Lazuli has an interesting kind of sweetness as it's drying down a little bit. Almost a coumarin-like sweetness, kind of like a coconut hay thing. Just a hint of it. But going back to the drive, I'm getting carried away. yeah, we'll look up the notes. There's not too much else I can describe there from smelling it blind. So the notes in this read rosemary and marjoram with absinthe. I guess those are what are creating this kind of green scent, with lemon, musk and patchouli. So, oh, and also a mix of woods. Cashmerean is listed on the notes, as well as cedarwood. So yeah, there you go. You definitely get the kind of the greenness. I guess it is kind of herbal. I was associating it more with kind of seaweed and pine, but yeah, it makes more sense. There's kind of a green herbal kind of, you definitely notice the green element anyway, with the, I guess, cedarwood, but it smells, the way it comes across is like polished wood. That's how it smells to me. And the citrus itself is not as strong as the other two. It's more woody and green, with the citrus just giving kind of a bit of a brightness, but not like overpowering lemon or whatever. It's a little bit more subdued in terms of the citrus element in comparison to the other two. I do like all three, but Drive is probably slightly my least favourite. I like Pomelo Riviera. Those florals are coming through just a little bit more. It's an even balance of like the orange blossom, that kind of a very clean jasmine. There's no indoles, kind of that kind of funkiness that's not there with this. In fact, the pomelo is kind of rounding out now. It's not quite as tart and crisp. And the lazuli getting a little bit more sweeter, so interesting. Let me know what you want me to review in full first. Otherwise, I will kind of just pick what I'm in the mood for, and I'll kind of be doing full reviews of them within the next couple of months. So to sum it up, I would say all three of them are completely unisex. All of them are for the summer. And the only thing I can knock them on is that the price is a little bit high for such simple compositions, but you are getting a beautiful presentation and they smell good, so I can't knock the actual scent. They smell very nice. And what I would say, it reminds me of a similar kind of style to, like I say, Atelier cologne. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again next time with another one. Take care, everybody. Bye.